for catching that, Isaiah.
Of course. It's a QR code. There's the
And while we're paused, Finance Board will assist on this and we'll be part of this committee and everything. We do want to help as best we can.
All right, we should be live on YouTube.
voting. The voting form.
Point of information, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah, is the QR code a link to a Google form or is it not spy?
It should be a Google form. It should be a link to a Google form. That Google form will also be posted in the Senate voting channel as well shortly. There is.
We already checked for emails and
Yeah.
who's actually filling out the form.
Yes. It is.
We do validation. Form is now in the voting channel. So if you're on the Slack, you should be able to just click the link directly.
All right. With that, we're going to move on to more formal and hopefully better structured things of an open letter about public safety operations from Senator Nova Ammerman. So Nova, if you'd like to come up and talk.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chair. I'll leave this short as I know we have other things and we are running somewhat out of time. So this is an open letter that I've had legislative comments for 2 weeks now almost. The essential problem that this is concerned with is the failure of operational consistency of the public escort service by public safety. In particular, the open letter uses a few examples given by a group of students that had published on Tech News regarding incidents in which students were forced or were held up waiting outside in inclement winter weather for over half an hour while waiting for public safety to arrive due to some chaos and confusion within public safety, and further an organizational issue within public safety, wherein the students were instructed to walk halfway across campus in order to receive the public escort service to their destination that they were requesting, which I don't think I have to explain, is kind of antithetical to the point of the public escort service. So all this bill really requests is movements for Department of Public Safety to publish a statement regarding this and to make steps to ensure that such issues will be reformed such that something like this won't be as common or will happen ever again, because as SGA, I believe it is a priority of all of us and the students to have a operational and safe public escort service. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to enter into the usual 5-minute Q&A period. If anyone has any questions, whether in Zoom or in person, please raise your hand, and then I will acknowledge you. Fran.
Would you consider putting into this like other public safety like operations that aren't necessarily up to snuff? I feel like there's other parts of their operation that they just kind of are lacking on at the moment.
I think there is probably a valid concern. I wrote this bill not knowing of any other failures of public safety. I have since had students reach out to me about that. I don't know if that is an amendment to this open letter would be the best way to go about it. Instead, maybe do some other action within SGA to resolve it.
Wyatt.
I just wanted to ask if we mentioned like something about
organizational issues. Did you speak to public safety about this and get any comments on them? The chair or the VP of student life and I both contacted the head of public safety and invited him to this meeting, and he does not seem to be here.
He didn't come to this meeting because we actually have a meeting set next week to meet with him about this to get more information.
Yeah, that was gonna be more my question. Have we confirmed with public safety that the services we're expecting them to provide are services they publicly say they're going to provide? I know they say an escort service, but they're pretty clear about this escort service only picks up from certain locations and doesn't provide the equivalent of a rideshare service.
So what I had taken from this and the students who had published in Tech News is that this was something they had publicly advertised during Welcome Week, and they could, I mean, I'm not sure if they publicly advertised it elsewhere, but the way that I and other students had interpreted it from those events was that it was to help students publicly get across campus and to campus.
Are there any other questions? Is there any online?
Not currently.
Motion to approve? Do I have a second for that motion to approve? Thank you. With that, we're going to go into the usual 5-minute discussion period. If anyone has anything that they would like to say, feel free to raise your hand and I'll acknowledge you. Wyatt.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that I also was under the impression that public safety would provide an escort like to anywhere from anywhere, given it was within range of campus, like reasonably. That's the impression I was given, not only by like when I was touring IIT, but also during Welcome Week. I remember that's how I've always remembered this service to be provided. So if it could just be a communications issue where they've advertised the wrong thing, maybe. So I think that's something that would be important to get public safety thoughts on.
Gotcha. Brad.
Thank you. So I was going to say, so I did work in the library my freshman year, and I worked at 12 to 8 a.m. shift. So we would have a lot of public safety escorts at that time come to the library. That used to be the default pickup space. To my knowledge, it was not a from anywhere to anywhere. And there are asterisks on both. It was usually there's one designated location at that time of night. And I know it has shifted with the pandemic. It used to be the library, then went, I think, to Herman or someplace or somewhere else, or maybe Tower. Yeah. But to my knowledge, it's kind of been in that area. But there is one like location, and then you can only go to either, I think, someplace on campus or an apartment very close nearby. Usually, so I just want to provide that. I'm not exactly sure if it's changed back then, but that was the precedent at least at that time, and that was only around the start of the pandemic.
Brad.
So did provide a link to the escort service description in the chat.
Brad.
So moving off of that point, I feel like whether it's like, I'm not sure about pickup like outside of campus, because obviously they can't be going 10 minutes out of their way to pick someone up and then bring them all the way to campus. But in terms of being able to get picked up anywhere on campus, I mean, the safety, police safety officers have no issue with kind of being anywhere on campus, driving anywhere on campus. So I feel like they should very much be able to pick someone up from the door, or at least like right outside the door, to then deliver them anywhere. I don't know about pickup outside the campus, but definitely at least on campus, not that difficult.
Wyatt.
So Rachel mentioned that next week there's supposed to be a meeting with public safety and SGA. So, I mean, this is, I guess, more directed as a question. So if you want to speak to it, but what are we going to accomplish by passing an open letter before we open a channel of communication with public safety?
I think the key thing then with this open letter is to formally show disapproval before the fact. This open letter can serve as kind of the guidelines for that conversation to be like, hey, we as SGA, like without any question, we do think there is a problem. And so then we should be able to orient our discussion. We shouldn't have to spend the discussion being like, okay, do we think there's a problem? No, we know there's a problem. We think there's a problem. So let's make this discussion about the problem.
Derek,
When it comes to this escort service, I appreciate that public safety does offer this. Keep in mind, though, that public safety isn't as widespread as we think it is. We see a few cars at night, but if I were to take a shot in the dark, my guess is there's probably less than 15 public safety officers at night at any given time. Resources are allocated as they can be. And I recognize that this is a service, but it is a limited service. You shouldn't 100% always rely on this at every single time. It is nice when you need a ride to a nearby campus or if somewhere nearby off campus. But I think if you're strictly relying on public safety to take you from Galvin to Cunningham, you might need to keep your expectations a little bit more realistic.
Fran, and with your point, we have 1 minute left. If the time runs out in the middle of your talking, then just finish with your point and then we will move on.
Okay, cool. So yeah, to that point, I would say that there is a minimal amount of public safety officers, and for sure, if we're just getting a ride from like on campus to on campus, if it's not that large of a distance, we can't just accommodate ourselves to getting taxi rides. But I also would say that for a long time, like for at least the past year, I've seen BP safety officers just consistently grouped up together. They're not consistently going around and being on runs. I feel like at some points are not necessarily, doing their job at all times. I've seen 2 or 3 cars grouped together, and I don't really feel like that needs to be that way. But there's also other issues with them, just like, besides that, but in terms of just like kind of sitting around, I feel like it does happen often enough that they can't assign one vehicle in the spot to, be the person that does this.
And we have run out of time. Do I have a motion to extend? For how long? 5 minutes. Got it. Nova, I believe your hand was raised first.
So to echo previous segments and a reply to Senator Rhea, while I do agree that if that was the way that public safety had advertised their service, then I could totally understand it. But as previous senators have said and students, a lot of the, especially the Welcome Week impression that public safety had given to the students was the fact that it was a safe option to go from anywhere to anywhere on campus at any time. Thank you.
On a procedural standpoint regarding this open letter, I would argue that it's because we don't have the full information and we haven't met with public safety. I would argue that this should remain within committees and doesn't require a comment from the Senate, and that we should table this motion.
All right. Do I have a second for that motion? Second. All right. Do I have any objections? Okay, I will actually need a proper full-on vote then. So if you want to table this motion until next meeting,
Is that before the public, is that after the public safety meeting?
it would be, I believe,
When and where is that?
that meeting.
Yes.
I am uncertain.
Is next Wednesday at 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Wednesday.
Where will that be?
I'm not sure if it's an open meeting. I think it may just be senior night.
Okay.
So your motion is until next Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
Okay, got it. If you are a voting member and also want to table this meeting, this open letter until next Wednesday, which is after the public safety meeting, please raise your hand.
And if you're online, please use the raise hand feature online.
Samira, are you raising your hand? How many do we have online? None? Got it. If you do not want to table this open letter, please raise your hand. Got it. The chair is not in doubt. The open letter has been tabled until next Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be busy. So with that, we are going to go on to the next open letter of tonight, and that is the late night open letter from Wyatt. Wyatt, if you'd please come up and feel free to talk about your open letter.
So most of you might know that this Friday is late night, which is a major IIT event and historically has very high attendance. It's a lot of students in MTCC, and it'll be quite late from like, I believe 9 to 1 a.m. And my concern is that this and many other students have expressed this concern that it could be a super spreader event, considering that on February 28th, the university lifted mask policy in non-academic environments, and this would technically qualify as a non-academic environment. I believe the organizers of this event and union board were not necessarily expecting the mask mandate to be lifted, but they don't exactly have the power to enact a mask mandate in a building that is not theirs. So I propose an open letter. Right now, it's currently addressed to OCL, but I don't know exactly who would have the power to enact like a real mask mandate for even just a temporary period inside MTCC. But I think it's important that for the health and safety of our students, that we don't create an event that will be very high density, may not be able to social distance as well. So masks should be necessary. And my open letter is addressing that.
Got it. With that, we're going to move into the usual 5 minutes of questions and answers. If you have a question, raise your hand, as always. With that, do we have any questions for Wyatt or about this open letter overall? Isaiah?
Yeah. Do you believe that this open letter, even like, if the Senate does pass it and it does get to OCL's desk, and we do say that you have to wear a mask for late night, do you believe that students will still wear one? You weren't here last year, so they could give you the freshmen some context. Last year, when there was late night and masks were 100% still required, it was very frequent to just not see people wearing masks. It was kind of as if there wasn't a rule anyway. So again, this isn't an attack to you, but I just don't know how effective.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think students will necessarily have as much motivation, but I think even more so the fact that the mask mandate has been formally lifted by the university, that the university needs to formally ensure that there is a mask mandate for this event. So if they could do that, I think it would be more likely that students would abide by the policy.
Thank you. Derek?
Do you believe the university made a wrong decision in lifting the mask mandate in non-academic environments?
It is outside the scope of this letter. I believe that this letter is addressing the idea that this event could be a super spreader, and the city of Chicago still doesn't say that we should necessarily lift all COVID restrictions, just that masks should not be required in certain circumstances, such as non-academic public spaces. I believe this should be an exception to that due to the inability for students to go back up to the mic. They can't.
If you come up to the mic, you can't be heard online. Apologies about that. So the question that Derek asked was, would you repeat your question, please?
I asked if you believe if the university made a mistake in lifting the mask policy in non-academic environments.
My response is that that would be outside the scope of this discussion, and whether the university should enact such a thing is something that can be discussed in another proposal. But that during this event, the city of Chicago still does not recommend lifting all COVID mandates, and I believe that this event should be an exception to the lifting of mask mandates for non-academic areas because of the inability to social distance that I think is very likely among IIT students for this event.
All right, Jason?
Again, going off of what Isaiah was saying, to further it, last year, again, we did have late night. In the end, and again, I work in the Office of Residence Life. I deliver quarantine meals, and we speak a lot. We didn't have a massive spike in COVID cases like we would expect to be a super spreader event. So again, that just goes to show in the past we didn't have a massive spike. So
I would also say to that point that in the past there technically was a mask mandate. So I mean, it is uncertain, but I think we should act with precaution here.
Here?
So I totally get the concern of it being an event and specifically a super spreader event, but the turnaround on this is incredibly short. Late night is in 2 days. It's very unlikely that the university will do anything in 2 days. Also, as long as the current CDC guidelines are being followed, do you still think that this is necessary to like send out, I guess? Because like, if we're following the CDC's guidelines, university's guidelines, and the turnaround doesn't make sense, I guess I'm kind of wondering where like your mindset is coming from.
Yeah, actually, a response from Union Board has already agreed to post signs at all the entrances, asking people to wear their masks through the event. They also agreed to promote on their social media accounts that people should be encouraged to wear masks during the event. So Union Board, upon hearing about this letter, has already responded saying they are going to much more directly stress people should be masked during the event.
I guess if we're gonna do that, then what's the point of passing this?
I would
Sorry.
say that, well, yes, I proposed this relatively quickly because I was aware that it would be happening on Friday. And I didn't actually receive the concern from students about this event until they knew about it, which happened today. So which is why I proposed it today. And I would have just asked Rachel if you know anything about like if OCL could formally do something like this.
Yeah, you know what, I'm sending T an email right now. He's not gonna answer because it's 10:21 PM. But Wyatt, we can chat a little bit more about this tomorrow morning too. And I think this is a lovely written letter and I love that you guys are so passionate, but you can also just come and chat with me about this like Monday this week, because I want to make sure that we can get something done and that everybody feels safe. For the most part too, it looks like about 60% of people are still wearing masks on campus. But I'm sure we could probably implement something. Let me ask T about what can be done. Because I know we have to follow CDC guidelines, but I'm sure that we can ask in a large group. Oh, no, sorry. I meant Friday, but I meant last Friday the thing came out, if that didn't make sense. Last Friday, the email came out, right? So yeah, feel free to also come in, like, talk to me about this. It's never a bother. But let me see what we can do. I'm going to message T right now and we can put something together for tomorrow.
With that, we have run out of time for Q&A. Is there a motion to extend the questioning period? Do you have one, Nova?
No, but I would like to move to the, I'd like to move into discussion.
Okay, got it. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Gotcha. With that, standard 5 minutes of discussion. Does anyone have a point that they would like to raise? Derek, I saw that your hand shot up immediately.
I also appreciate where this resolution is coming, or this open letter is coming from, and I understand that masks effectively have worked. Throughout the entire pandemic, we've been told to trust the science, follow the science, believe in the science. The science right now says it is safe to be in public without a mask on. As it currently stands, everyone on this campus is fully vaccinated. Everyone on this campus has received their booster. Even if there is a spreader event, it's not going to really affect you. That's my personal opinion. Everybody can have their own opinion. My other opinion is that if you are that concerned about being in this environment, you are more than welcome not to come. If you feel unsafe in a super tight, super contagious space, if you feel like your health is at risk, everyone is entitled not to participate in this event. But for everyone else that does want to participate in this event and wants to have a normal time, I think everyone should be entitled to have that experience.
Nova, I believe your hand is up. Chris, thank you.
Okay, as somebody who is both, I'm vaccinated and boosted, but I'm also high risk. And I'm also volunteering at late night. And personally, I'm just going to wear my own mask. And I don't know, like I've been out downtown in Chicago in places where people haven't been wearing masks, like restaurants and stuff like that. And I personally feel comfortable. I think if as long as the organization is having the recommendation and everybody's still allowed to wear masks as they feel comfortable, I personally think it's fine as it is.
Nova.
First off, I'd like to announce my full support for this bill, and in response to Senator Reyes, I would just like to say, I think it is important that as your body and as for the event, that we should make this late night as accessible to students as possible. Another a key thing to note is that while an individual senator or student may not feel that they're at high risk for infecting COVID or anything else, there are students who are 100% at high risk. There are students who have comorbidities that make them more likely to get extremely sick from COVID. And I see no reason why we cannot make this event more accommodating and more accepting for those students. Those students still exist, even if they are not you. Thank you.
Elio?
Who was first, Naeem?
Naeem?
I'm sorry, should we start like a cue or so? Do I have to keep the hand up or, okay, I just want to ask, well, no, not ask, but I just want to say, the fact of the matter is that MTCC is currently already a high traffic area. It is the student center on campus. I think another point we have to make is not only during late night, but just during regular times at MTCC, food is being served and students for at least months now have been unmasked, usually in large areas throughout the entire building, eating or whatever, even before the mask mandate was dropped. My only point is I think we should just take that into consideration, that a lot of people, or at least a great amount of people in MTCC doing regular student business things are eating and therefore are usually unmasked anyway, and that should be at least something we consider in our decision.
We have about a minute and a half left. Elio, I believe you're next.
For one, motion to extend the discussion period by about 5 minutes.
All right, got it?
Second.
Okay.
I'm in full support of this letter. As a matter of fact, I was
Point of order, don't we need to vote on that?
Yeah.
Wyatt actually contacted me about this earlier, asking me if they should draft a letter, to which I responded yes, because I drafted a similar letter that's more general about the mask mandate, saying that we were made unaware that this mask mandate was going to be removed on Monday. I find it appropriate that this should be passed tonight. While I don't.
They did it on Friday. Like this 2 days Friday, right?
Yes, that's why I say I want to.
Sorry, I was just really confused for a second.
Yeah, no worries. I say we need to pass this tonight. Because if we want to make late night something for all students, like Nova said, this should be inviting to every student, not just students who don't want to wear their mask. Rather, we want to make sure that this is an opportunity for the students to get together again, but in a safe environment. This is something that we need to make sure goes on across campus when it comes to certain things like this, gatherings, celebrations. We need to make sure that the students are safe. And it all starts with something like this. We need to make sure that we pass this tonight, regardless of what people think.
Fran?
So I guess just to start off with, right, like late night last year was an absolute disaster. Again, nobody was wearing their masks, regardless of being told that they had to. People from outside of the school, a large portion of that was not people at IIT, even though like that's not people we can say are like fully vaccinated in the situation. So there's issues with that. Also, like, I mean, there's a like there are certain like sorry, how do I explain this? Like there's a certain expectation that in a situation like this with that many people, this is the least that we can do to be accommodating for other individuals. And then just for my second point, I'd also like to state that I'm currently under IIT rules. We're supposed to be wearing masks in this space. So just a note to the senators.
Eric, to the previous speaker's point, we are not required to be wearing masks in this space according to university policy. In a classroom setting is
Academic.
regularly scheduled.
No, it says instead masks will be required, but only in certain in-person instructional spaces, including classrooms, lab studios, and other learning spaces on campus. It does not include the work that they in class.
Okay, so I guess meeting outside, but as we are well aware, if we were to go out to eat or go into the commons or whatever else, food or COVID-19 does not transmit when you're eating food. So, you know, apparently that's the whole thing. Besides the point, I think we're at this point where everybody has had the opportunity to protect themselves to the best of their ability. I think we're at the point where we've been 2 years into this pandemic. Everybody has had the opportunity to get vaccinated if they wish. If we believe the vaccine works, if we're at the point now, people should be able to make their own decisions as to whether or not they want to wear the mask. The MTCC specifically is not a academic hall, so people are able to do whatever they want in that building. And I'm of the opinion that if we're going to follow the science and follow, all of the, CDC guidance, state guidance, federal guidance, wherever else, university guidance, we can't just pick and choose when we want to follow the science. We have to follow the science as it's being given to us. We have the responsibility to do it now. It's safe to unmask. If you're uncomfortable with it, you do not have to attend.
We have about a minute left. Unless I have a motion at the end of that minute to extend, I'm only going to hear the last ones that we can. Wyatt.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the point about eating. My letter specifically says that masks will, you don't have to wear a mask while eating, because obviously that is unreasonable, and that's how mask mandates have worked in the past. And I would just once again stress that this event is basically the pinnacle of MTCC activity. It is I would say, the most attended event at IIT in general, that is all those students in one space, aside from maybe spring formal or welcome week events. So I would say that this event deserves the special treatment because, one, it was made before we were aware that the mask mandate would be lifting, and two, the mask mandate just lifted, and we don't exactly have the information and the resources to assess the risk. And I think we should just act with precaution rather than create a potentially unsafe environment where we can have the families and friends of students and students themselves be harmed by the virus.
And with that, we are out of time. Do I have a motion to extend?
Motion to extend.
By how long?
We'll go extend.
10 minutes.
Second.
Okay, got it. Kiru, you're next.
Okay, so one thing it seems that everybody is forgetting is that late night is an Illinois Tech student only event. IDs will be checked at the door. Our entire community is triple vax. You have to take negative COVID tests. It's not like we're a COVID hotspot. I know there's cases, but we're not literally having spreader events, frat parties, major gatherings. This is one major gathering. Everyone's triple vaxxed. If we follow CDC guidelines, I don't really see what's the point, Sorry, that's just my opinion, because literally you have to be vaccinated or have an exemption to even get through the door.
I would like to say that even though the university is triple vax, that we just recently had an explosion of cases at IIT, showing that it is not a foolproof event. And this is before any potential super spread event. Further, I will leave my second comment short. The freedom to not, if we give students the freedom, wear or not wear a mask, that is a matter of comfort. A mask mandate would help give students in the matter of health. Thank you.
Right?
I do just want to make a couple of points, and I'm going to stand since other people are standing. So one thing I do want to say is that regarding this event, you did say that pinnacle of MTCC activity is during spring formal and those events. Another pinnacle of MTCC activity is called lunch. And really, I just want to say a lot of people come at MTCC during lunchtime. That is when they're eating. That is when masks are down. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad idea or anything of that nature. I'm wearing my mask because that makes me more comfortable. However, should we want to enforce this, you're saying that masks won't be allowed when eating. That kind of defeats the whole purpose, because a lot of people at late night have finger foods that they will travel around with and eat as they're walking around the entire event, kind of defeating the purpose and getting past your mask mandate. So what I'm saying is either you would want to say, for example, call off late night entirely. That would be an effective way to shut down the super spreader event. But this intermediary just will not function, because it's not going to stop people from taking down their masks if they're at the event or anything. It's a murky middle ground that just won't accomplish anything. Either the event will have to be shut down or just go as is currently. And that's just kind of the way it is, unfortunately, due to the way the event is set up, due to the way, just MTCC is in general and with food. So that's all I want. Also, it does say other scheduled learning spaces on campus in that email, Francisco, and it won't be scheduled for another 9 minutes, 9 hours. This classroom. So this is not a learning instructional space for another 9 hours and 58. Right now, no, I'm just saying. I'm still wearing my mask. Like I kind of on your side, but this just doesn't seem like it will accomplish much. And students will just see where the hell they will. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Ryan.
So I just want to make a point that we're litigating whether or not we want to have masks in MTCC, but at the end of the day, this is just an open letter to bring to somebody to think about having no masks. So the whole point of this discussion seems like completely nullified by that when Rachel says that she's talking with T. So why are we having this conversation still? I am very confused by that.
Do I have a proper, or Wyatt, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I would just, I mean, I would argue that this is a matter of getting the student body's opinion via SGA and the Senate, because the Senate acts as representative for the students. And if it is the belief of SGA that we should have masks, then I would say that is the belief of students that we should have the masks. And so we should work with the administration to administer some sort of policy. And then also in response to concerns about the effectiveness of this letter, I mean, I agree. I don't think every student will follow this. And I think it would also be that eating will be a major part of the event. But it is just a maximization of safety and health for our students. So I don't see a harm in enacting this policy because it could increase our safety. And I don't think masks will be a significant factor in making the event worse.
Can I like respond? I know there's hands in the queue, but my point's not necessarily, again, I don't think it's worthwhile getting into litigating whether or not masks should or shouldn't be at MTCC, because everybody in this room has their opinion and nothing you say is going to change their opinion. And so I don't understand why we're still having the conversation. I mean, just take it to a vote and see what the student body wants or not.
Do I have any motions that anyone would like to make?
I move the previous question.
All right, got it. With that, go ahead and scan, and Ben, if you would please release the voting form.
Point of information, was discussion over by time? And if not, then don't we have to vote for that one? I wasn't sure about the other
Oh,
one.
previous question.
Move the previous
Skip to
question.
voting.
Okay.
Let me put that in the Slack as well.
Yes, Ben is currently working on that.
On the Chromebook, it's slow. Oh, wait, there's the tab I was thinking.
Really find it, Ben?
Yeah.
All right.
It's closed.
Play the theme song, Ben the Barber.
No, we can't. It's a Chromebook.
All right.
It's now in the voting channel.
With that, we're going to move on to the one of the things that I think people are here for, the executive election results. Derek, go ahead.
Wow, no applause. That's Stain won everything, so we can just move on from here. All right, so I have a whole thing, so bear with me. For the election of the 2022-2023 Student Government Association Executive Board, 314 ballots were submitted, with 308 certified as having been cast by currently enrolled students by Executive Election Committee Chair Derek Gray, Executive Election Committee Member Naeem Mohammed, in consultation with the Student Government Association Advisor Rachel Hirsch.
Rachel.
Exactly. Each voter was not required to cast a vote for any particular candidate nor cast a vote for abstain in each race. Therefore, the number of votes cast for each race may differ from the total number of ballots that have been certified as having been cast by currently enrolled students. Now we get to the good part. For the position of Vice President of Events, there have been no registered candidate in this election. The position of Vice President of Events shall remain vacant. For the position of Vice President of Academic Affairs, a total of 273 votes are certified as having been cast by currently enrolled students. The candidate for this race is Akil Abbas, with an additional option to abstain from voting in this race. The tabulated votes for Vice President of Academic Affairs are as follows: abstain 33%, Akil Abbas 67%. Therefore, the Executive Election Committee certifies Akil Abbas as the winner, who shall serve as Vice President of Academic Affairs on the 2022-2023 Student Government Association Executive Board. For the position of Vice President of Communications, a total of 277 votes are certified as having been cast by currently enrolled students. The candidate for this race is Elio Armas Rojo. Okay, fantastic. With an additional option to abstain from voting in this race. The tabulated votes for Vice President of Communications are as follows: abstain 31%, Elio Armas Rojo 69%. Therefore, the Executive Election Committee certifies Elio Armas Rojo as the winner, who shall serve as Vice President of Communications on the 2022-2023 Student Government Association.
Really
For the position of Executive Vice President, a total of 277 votes are certified as having been cast by currently enrolled students. The candidate for this race is Joel Kelsey, with an additional option to abstain from voting in this race. The tabulated votes for Executive Vice President are as follows: abstain 34%, Joel Kelsey 66%. Certified Joel Kelsey is the winner, who shall serve as the Executive Vice President in 2022-2023 Executive Board. For the position of Vice President of Student Life, a total of 294 votes are certified as having been cast by currently enrolled students. The candidates for this race are Nova Ammerman and Abrar Rafi, with an additional option to abstain from voting in this race. The tabulated votes for Executive Vice President of Student Life, there's a typo there. Abstain 29%, Abrar Rafi 25%, Nova Ammerman 46%. Student Life in the 2022-2023 Student Government Association Executive Board. For the position of Finance Board Chair, a total of 285 votes are certified as having been cast by currently enrolled students. The candidates for this race are Francisco Barba and Chloe Rabinowitz, with an additional option to abstain from voting in this race. The tabulated votes for Finance Board Chair are as follows: abstain 12%, Francisco Barba 20%, Chloe Rabinowitz 68%. Student Government Association Executive Board and Finance Board. Finally, for the position of President. I know, right? A total of 288 votes are certified as having been cast by currently enrolled students. The candidates for this race are Benjamin Barber and Isaiah Mays, with an additional option to abstain from voting in this race. The tabulated votes for president are as follows. Abstain received 10%. Benjamin Barber received 26%, Isaiah Mays 64%. Therefore, the Executive Election Committee certifies Isaiah Mays as the winner, who shall serve as president on the 2022-2023 Student Government Association Executive Board. Now, the Executive Election Committee and the Student Government Association, I would like to congratulate our new 2022-2023 Executive Board. And I thank all of the candidates for participating in this election process with integrity and the interest of the student body in mind, as well as the members of the student body who cast their vote in this election.
Where's the shout out to the members of the committee here?
Thank you for this.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that, Derek. Isaiah, you have something?
This is a general archival question. I just was wondering, has there ever been a black president of SGA?
That is a,
Not in recent memory.
That's all.
RHA, yes, I did find that out.
Okay.
But not FCA.
I'm not sure. But congrats to all of our winners of the executive election. Going to move on to the last couple of executive reports from this executive board, starting with Benjamin Barber as president. Ben?
So congrats to the new exec board. Best of luck next year. The March 26th, we have our next constitutional discussion meeting. So if you're interested in coming to that, that's when that's currently scheduled. And it looks like next week we're going to have some amendments. So please try to provide any feedback via Slack. So that way next meeting does not go terribly long.
Thank you for that, Ben. Next, we have the campus administration. Rachel?
Okay, so Spirit Week is next week. Grits is actually, I just heard this, I just checked my email and this came in a little later, but Grits is actually going to change the run to be on Friday. So that will be on Friday. So ignore that first one or just put it on Friday in your own head. On Tuesday, we're having Justice of the Pies, a Black-owned pie shop on the south side, come and bring pies into the commons, and they're gonna have a sweet pie topping bar. If you did not get a slice of this pie last year, you're whack. You're missing out. Your life is not as good as mine. So better get a piece this year. On Wednesday, we are gonna have games during lunch. In Center Court, we're gonna have some of these organizations, Chess Club, Esports. I think I have chess on there twice. Sorry, Warhammer, tabletop RPGs, kind of like doing like a quick face-off of gaming, and they'll all be in Center Court. So come, bring your creative minds, and you can eat some ramen and play. On Thursday, we're going to do Pie in the Face. We are still looking for professors who want to pie in the face. I did reach out to those teams, those professor teams that you asked me to last time, the CS professors. They did say no, but each of them donated $50 in place of not getting pied in the face. So it's a win-win for us, I think. We also will be having a floor decorating contest during the week. I got all the same kind of equipment we had last year: construction paper, butcher paper, we've got tape, we've got balloons. So if you are in RA, you should have already gotten an email from Janessa. If you live in a res hall, please get ready to decorate. If you do not live in a res hall, you're a commuter student, you are welcome to come and decorate the MTCC. We want the MTCC to be decorated because we don't want to be left out. So come help us do that. Winning floor gets a prize. They'll get dinner of their choice. No longer Maggiano's because they never deliver on time. So Lou Malnati's is one of the choices. We've got the whole choices. Janessa should have already sent it out. And then on Thursday, we were going to just do everybody on the campus wear jeans because you guys are all geniuses. And then on Friday, it's Spirit Day and also the Pi K, the 3.14 mile run. So let's see you show some of that spirit this week. And then also, I know that this is the first week that we are in person, but I'm going to ask selfishly for myself, for Celestine. We got a 32-year-old lady, we got a 6-year-old lady coming to these meetings. If we can please start at 9:15. People need to be there at 9:10. Be ready. I know today, we're getting our footing, but I really want us to start on time if we can. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. Naeem, you have a question?
Rachel, can we please move to 113 for next week? That one's just much nicer and has a desk. That could be.
Oh, the space that you're in this week? Can you say it again?
Yeah, so 113 in Stewart Building instead of 104. Like this auditorium just is a no.
Send me an email. I'll work with Kaylin. We can see if we can get the space.
I can take care of that, Rachel.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. With that, we are going to move on to our senator reports. Are there any senators who have anything they'd like to say? Naeem?
Some updates from Residence Hall Association. I do apologize, everyone, as last week I was not here, I was not available. My apologies about that. I like being here, fun talking with you all. So just as we are right now, about a week or so ago, RHA had their first in-person event in over 2 years, no, almost 2 years. Close enough, 2 years. And it was great. We had a wonderful presentation from representatives from Signify Epsilon, as well as a excellent meeting and a great debrief session where we did a complete based off of IIT. So it was quite a fun time. I just want to give you an update that we had at least upwards of about 40 people or so at the APEC event in attendance. It was very well attended. So we're looking forward to having another one in about a little less than a month from now. And we're going to be working with finance board for our emergency hearing because we fairly missed one of our events this weekend. So we're going to see that up. But use that for service. Also that and yeah, okay, that's all I have. I'm not big.
Thank you, Naeem. Leo?
Hi, do you want me to go up to the front?
Yeah.
So, over the weekend, well, not over the weekend, actually, Monday, I created a new survey for students to fill out, and I'm in the process of getting some flyers out onto campus. As I'm pretty sure you are all aware, on Monday, the mask mandate was unexpectedly lifted for all shared spaces that are not learning spaces. That is, as well as you mentioned, learning spaces that are currently not occupied by professors and being treated as learning spaces don't also require masks. Basically, going to send out this survey to as many resources as I can to see what people actually feel about it. It's essentially a way to find out what the students think should be more appropriate. I have sent this out to a couple of Discord servers that have students right now. And so far, the responses have been that we probably go back to a full mask mandate at least until the end of the semester. However, those have been very few responses. I would at least like to get a couple hundred. I'm up here to ask for any sort of help to get, through the RHA, certain other organizations, if I can get this as well. So I will be releasing flyers with QR code across campus. So if you could please push this up, that'd be greatly appreciated. I have to release an open letter related to this as well that hopefully will be on the agenda by next week. Please leave your legislative comments for this open letter. I would greatly appreciate your comments. That's about it.
The link will go out tomorrow. Maybe the link will go out tomorrow.
Cool.
Nova?
To line meeting, maybe we can talk about it there as well.
Sounds good.
Chris?
Yeah, so, if you want to send it my way on Slack or something too, like I'm in like class discords and also the IIT newspaper discord, we got like over 100 people in there, so I can boost it there.
Awesome. I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
We're good. Thank you, Elio.
Yep.
Seeing nothing else, do we have anything for open floor from anyone? Samir?
Technically, this was supposed to be an executive report. However, I did not fill out the slide. That's my bad. Everyone, I'm going to be meeting with Dean Stetz on Wednesday, lunch hour. So if you have any complaints, or if you or someone you love, someone you know has a complaint about student life, reach out to me and we can see if we can have you come over and speak to Dean Stetz, or I can talk on your behalf to Dean Stetz.
Naeem?
We just want to say one last thing, you all, before we leave out. While there was some contention during our meeting regarding whether or not certain things should have taken place or certain things should have been put, I just want to say, continue to advocate on behalf of yourself. I think that is important. While something may not necessarily make its way all the way, into action or be very popular, having discussions, talking amongst each other is not a waste of time. is very much what we are here to do, very much what we are here for. I just want to say to those who are pushing forward with legislation, those who are pushing forward with new ideas, that is always worth our time. It's always important for the students to be informed of what we are thinking and for us to just have discussions regarding those things. So I just encourage you all to continue that and learn from your experiences. Thank you.
Chloe?
I sent an email earlier, but quick note, because I forgot to mention, emergency second special hearing, March 20th. Budgets will probably be due a week prior. I'll send more info later, but for everyone here who is relevant to it and the people online.
Nova?
I will not spend much time talking about it, but Francisco did post in the, I believe, random channel of the Slack a concerning meeting on campus on March 5th. I would thoroughly recommend that everyone here, if you have access to Slack, to consider looking at it, because I think it's pretty alarming. I think everyone here should be at least informed on it.
Elio?
Okay, open floor, this is where it gets to be a bit more annoying. So I'm gonna be very candid with y'all tonight. While very, very full of progress when it comes to discussing certain things, I feel like there were certain discussions I saw tonight that were quite frankly inappropriate for representing the student body. While we should believe in following CDC guidelines and following what the university insists us to follow, there's also a responsibility that we hold as senators to the student population. While we have our own opinions, we should also make sure to formulate that our opinion shouldn't be influenced by ourselves, but rather it needs to be influenced by the student body itself, the people that we represent. And for those of you that were unaware, the College of Architecture, the very college that I represent right now, did experience massive spike of COVID cases in the past week. That unfortunately went unreported by the university itself. I believe we probably get those updated stats by Friday, as they do every week. But essentially, there were 2 entire studio sections that could not attend their midterm reviews because of the COVID spike. And funnily enough, just an appropriate timing, the mask mandate lifted. And while, yeah, we've had 2 years to adjust to protecting yourself from COVID, I've had 18 years to adjust to protect myself from the cold, and yet here I am with the cold. So by following that logic, it's quite frankly also a bit irrepresentative of what we're trying to achieve in terms of the mask mandate. We're not trying to exclude people from certain things. We're trying to make sure people are safe. We're trying to make sure that while this pandemic has been around for only 2 years, sorry. My brain. I find it appropriate that next week, when hopefully we vote on the open letter which I produced, that we seriously consider it, and make sure to have the university actually do something about it. Because quite frankly, there are multiple students around campus that are in massive fears of seeing another COVID spike, of seeing another return to online learning, which, as we know already, has been horribly unproductive for both the professors and the students. There are many fears of COVID-19 spreading throughout the campus and producing certain things, and we don't want to see that being students that are severely infected that have to end up in the hospital. I can tell you from experience, COVID is not fun. I was in the bed for 3 weeks. It is not fun. Therefore, hence why I supported Wyatt's letter earlier today, was because I don't want people to have to go through what I went. While yes, it doesn't make sense to have to take off your mask while you eat and drink and all that stuff, it should at least be present throughout the university that we should have our masks on only when we are not eating. Because right now, once this mask mandate was lifted, I walk into MTCC and all the people which I thought would keep their masks on after this mandate has been lifted, almost none of them kept, which is quite frankly a bit disturbing to me, as well as to many other students. The College of Architecture adopted a policy that you should be wearing your mask regardless of where you're at, even if studios are not currently in session. You should wear your mask in Crown Hall and 34 times at all times, no matter what is happening, Because while the policy states that it is for learning spaces that are currently occupied for learning time, I think that Dean Kroloff adopted an appropriate policy that I feel the university should have kept, since they obviously, yes, maybe, but I feel like the university could have kept the policy where you can keep your mask on anywhere, anytime, just as long as you're, just as long as you are able to social distance while eating and drinking. I think that should be enacted as far as the eye can go for this semester.
And Elio, you've been talking for quite some time.
Yes.
I'm going to cut you off there
Sounds
at
good.
that point. Sorry about that. If you have other points, I know that Derek had raised his hand previously, but currently Ryan has his up. Ryan?
I wanted to kind of congratulate everybody in Senate for being so civil. I really appreciated the diversity in opinions on all of this with the mask stuff on both sides. And I think that's something that has been consistent, and it's, I think that's good.
Thank you. Do we have Isaiah?
Give you 2 minutes, I promise, because I have a midterm. I just wanted to say, I guess now as the president-elect of SGA, thank you. I just want to say a big thank you to our previous exec board, a big thank you to our executive elections committee, and basically just that I'm excited to work with the new exec board next year, excited to meet with the old exec board, and I'm excited to finally kind of get my goals, get everyone else's goals, and finally go ahead and enact. That's all I want to say. Well, let's make a motion to adjourn as well.
Okay. We are done for tonight. Before you guys go, do we have voting results?
So we have 1701 for the Special Committee on Ukrainian Relief, so that passes. And we have 961 on the late night masking policy open letter, so that also passes.
Great. Both the open letter on late night and also the Ukrainian Special Committee will have passed. So thanks, everyone. Have a nice night.
Please make sure to return your name tag.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Coming online. I'm going to close out the online
Hey,
meeting.
Joel,
Yeah.
great job running this meeting, virtual and in person. Oh God, it's so frightening to see my face on the screen like that. Bye.
See ya.